Hi there. In this video, we'll be covering how to write a book and get it published. There's such a big learning curve with book writing, and following the steps in this video will help make the journey a little bit easier for you. By the end of this video, you'll learn how to pick the right book topic, how to choose the right publishing path, the possibility of getting help to write your book, and how to have the biggest impact. And stay tuned until the end of the video for a free opportunity. Let's dive in. One of the most important things you can do when thinking about writing a book is choosing the right book topic. It should be something that is based on your experiences, based on your expertise, something that you're interested in diving further into. Picking the right topic has a lot to do with whether this book is going to be successful or not successful, whether you're going to be able to finish it or whether it's something that's going to be too challenging and you're going to walk away from. The deeper your experience with the topic that you're interested in writing about, the more success you're going to be able to have because you're going to be able to pull from your own experiences, from your network, your connections, and put together the book based on your experiences and your background and the lessons that you've learned along your journey. The more that the book is outside of the scope of your experiences, the more you're going to have to dig and gather material, whether that's interviewing people, whether that's doing research. That's not to discourage you from that at all, but it's a bigger gap. It's a bigger hurdle, so it's going to take more effort. But when you're thinking about the topic that you want to pick, you should pick something that is either something that you're experienced with or something that you have some expertise in or you're gathering material on, and choosing the right topic is going to help you along the way. One of the most important things you can do when considering writing a book is aligning the book with your purpose. Understanding how your book aligns with your purpose, your goals, and your why is going to make it easier for you to keep going. It's going to motivate you. It's going to inspire you. It's something that's going to hit you deep. When you're thinking about whether or not you want to work on the book, you're going to have a reason to want to keep going because you have a goal in sight. You have something you want to accomplish with this book. This isn't just something that you want to put some words down and just publish it out. This is something bigger. So as you're thinking about working on a book, as you're thinking about writing a book, understand what your deeper purpose is, and it's going to really motivate you and give you a lot of momentum for the journey forward. There's so many different approaches that you can take when starting to plan out your book. Some people just start writing and don't even worry about outlining or planning. And some people diligently plan. I found from writing and ghostwriting 30+ books that planning out the foundation of the book is going to make it so much easier for you during the writing process. So before you put a single word down, before you start writing at all, I think it's important to really work on the book's foundation. By foundation, I mean 4 different factors. The first is your book's hook. This is really the elevator pitch. What is your book about in 1 to 2 sentences? And for a reader, what can they learn from it and how is it going to help them in their life? Anyone you encounter, when they ask you what your book is about, you should be able to tell them. You should be able to tap into that and explain how it might be able to help somebody. The next element of your book's foundation is audience. Who is your book for? No, it's not for everybody. I've talked to so many people who think that their book is for everybody, which means their book is for nobody. There is no book in the world that's going to make everybody happy, engage them, excite them, just on the level of reading level. So many people have different reading levels, and targeting specific reading audiences can factor into who your book is for. If you're writing a book on detailed legal maneuvers and courtroom tactics, that's going to be written at a higher reading level than a general reading book, general audience book. So you really want to think about who your book is for, what's their background, what's their education, where are they from, what are their interests. You want to tap into that because if you don't know who your book is for, it's really going to be difficult to get the book to them, to really hone in on that and make sure that you're targeting that specific audience when you publish the book, when you write the book. There's so many things that focus on audience when you're writing and publishing a book. And if you don't understand who your audience is, if you don't understand who your book is for, it's never going to reach its intended audience. The next foundation element is outlining. Outlining is huge. Outlining is very important. It can be simple. It can be extensive. It's really up to you in terms of what you want to do with your outline. You know, it could be a bullet point list. It could be a mind map. It could be just simple lines, just words, you know, just to keep you on track. I found that when I outline, it really helps to keep me oriented on the things that matter the most. It helps me understand what's inside and outside the frame of the book, and therefore it helps direct me in the right direction. It helps guide me forward in the writing process, so I'm not wasting time writing things that don't matter for the book or aren't going to be included. A lot of times when people start writing without outlining, they end up wasting a lot of time writing things that are outside the scope of the book. You don't want to do that. You want to make the most of your time and build momentum with the book writing. And outlining is the way to do so. Another element of foundation work that I've started doing over the past year or two is a positioning statement. This is something that helps me align the entire book around these themes and these topics that the book is about. I really focus on what the book is about in a sentence and then break those elements down into 3 or 4 from that sentence. And then I figure out how each chapter aligns to one of those themes or multiple themes. If they don't align to those themes, then they shouldn't be in the book. It really helps to make sure that everything is aligned, everything is clear, and everything orients toward that central purpose of the book. It's so easy once you start actually writing your book to see it fall by the wayside, to get too busy, to put it away, to put it aside, to fall out of rhythm and momentum with your writing. When you're thinking about writing your book, think about how much you can accomplish in a week or a month or a day and break it down. What does it take to get there? Do you have to schedule your time out? Do you need to take more time to be able to get it done? Maybe you work best on nights and weekends. Maybe you work best, 10 to 12 every Monday, diving into the book. Make sure that you're staying focused. Make sure that you're making the most of the time that you're spending on the book. One of the best ways to do so is to cut out distractions as much as you can. It's so easy to get chained to our phones, to think of our phone and all of the buzzing and alerts as a welcome thing, but it's not a welcome thing when you're trying to stay focused on the task at hand. A lot of times I really encourage people to either cut out the alerts, the pop-up alerts on their phones, put their phone away for a little while and focus on writing. I also work on writing sprints, and a writing sprint is a really simple thing. You can actually just sit in front of a computer for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and just free write. This isn't about being perfect. This isn't about writing perfectly and cleanly. This is about getting words down and getting ideas out of your head and onto the page. Another tactic that I often use is recording audio and turning that audio into transcription. I take the audio recordings, I upload them to a website like Otter or Rev, and within minutes I have an automatic transcription of the entire conversation with myself. I've written 5,000, 10,000 words just by taking a walk, by walking around my neighborhood or maybe going for a drive and talking to myself through a certain chapter or story. And then I can just have those words ready to go and can use that and refine that and adjust it and turn that into a chapter. It's such an empowering thing to be able to do that because it captures your voice. When you're writing, you want to make sure that the writing sounds like you, that it's uniquely yours. And a great way to do that is by using your actual voice as a foundation for the writing. As you work through the writing of your book and the planning of your book, ultimately, you're going to start focusing on the path forward. And there's really 2 paths forward to publication. One is traditional. It's publishing through a mainstream traditional publisher. And the other is called self-publishing. Both are great options. There's also a third option, which is a hybrid option, which is a mix of both of them. But I'll focus on those 2 for this message here. And the thing that I love about both of those tracks is that there's advantages and opportunities for each of them. With traditional publishing, it's a more complicated process. You actually have to put together a book proposal. You have to solicit agents and find the literary agent who's going to represent the book. And then they start shopping it around to publishers. And eventually, if a publisher thinks that your project is viable, they will work with you to work out a contract, a deal, and then they will publish the book. they will actually pay you, which is nice. It's exciting to get upfront money. You don't have to pay for services like editing and cover design and layout. So there's definitely positives, and there's a credibility element that comes with traditional publishing. There's a stamp of approval. And a lot of times when you have a traditional publishing deal, you can get better media opportunities. You can get better visibility for the book. At the same time, there's that other track, self-publishing. And for so many years, self-publishing has gotten a stigma around it as less than. I don't think it is less than. And in fact, there's a lot of overlap. The elements of it are exactly the same as traditional publishing. The editing steps are the same, the design steps are the same, the cover steps are the same. And if you're working with high-level professionals in those areas, you're going to have a high-quality book. In fact, if you're looking at a high-quality self-published book and a book that was traditionally published, there aren't going to be very many changes or gaps between them. You might not even be able to tell the difference between the two. That's how much that gap has narrowed. But I think a lot of times with publishing, there's so much gatekeeping and there's so many people saying no to projects. And the beauty of self-publishing, well, it does involve upfront cost from you, the author, to cover those elements like editing and design and cover and all those sorts of things. While self-publishing does involve those upfront costs of layout, editing, design, all those sorts of things out of pocket, there's a lot more money-making potential actually out of self-publishing. There's a lot more authors who are now shifting to self-publishing because they can make more money off of it. And on top of that, you have more control as the author over where it gets published, how it gets published. You're making the decisions yourself. And there's a lot of power that comes with that autonomy, with that ownership of the entire process. So if you're thinking about which track to follow, don't be discouraged if you end up self-publishing. Most of the books that I've worked on, ghostwritten, have contributed to, have been self-published, and authors have seen so many opportunities come from those. So sometimes the easier path is going to be the best one. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about books is all of the help that goes in behind the scenes. And a lot of times that help involves either ghostwriting or writing coaching. With ghostwriting, an author will actually work with a writer who will do the writing. That's what I do in my career. I'm a ghostwriter, and I meet with authors and I help them bring their stories forward. The other track of that is writing coaching, where the author will guide the writing process themselves, and the writing coach will provide input and guidance. And it's just really interesting to think about the help that you can receive when you're writing your book. A lot of people think the writing process is a lonely road, and it doesn't need to be. It's a lot more collaborative. I love collaboration on books. I think it makes the books that much stronger and sharper. And it's just fascinating to be able to see the struggle that authors face before they start working with me or other ghostwriters, and the momentum they can build from having a professional guiding them. Book writing is not easy, and I understand why so many people are frustrated by it. I've been there myself. You know, as I was kind of shifting into this professional role, I struggled too. I really didn't know what I was doing, and I understand that if you're that author in that spot, that I understand what that feels like. It's not an easy thing to confront the overwhelming burden that comes with writing a book and wanting to write a great book. And if you're struggling, you should really seek out somebody like me, a professional who has been there and done that and can guide you past the struggle points and the tough spots that you're facing, and guide you to finishing this book that has been burdening you and that you've been carrying for years and years and years. There is a path forward, and there's a way to wrap it up. If you want to learn more about how to write a book and get it published, head to my website, goodghostwriter.com. You can click the link below. There you can book a strategy call with me. I would love nothing more than to talk with you, to sit down and explore what your book is about, what you're trying to accomplish, and at the very least give you some insights and guidance on how you might be able to finish the book. Maybe we can even work together and collaborate. Just love to be able to explore what your book is about and help you any way I can. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.